The Cowboys lost on Thursday night, plain and simple. Final score 44-30. And it stings in a way that's hard to explain unless you felt it in your bones watching. On paper, that 44-30 looks like a blowout, and in so many ways, it was. But there were stretches where the Cowboys briefly looked like they could fight back. There were moments when you thought, maybe we're about to pull this off. That's why this feels both representative and misrepresentative. The Lions beat Dallas up. They took advantage of short fields and explosive plays. And then, in a blink, the game was over and any realistic playoff conversation got a lot dimmer. Before the game, you could point to models that gave Dallas about a 23% shot at the postseason. After the final whistle, those odds cratered to about 8%. That's not zero, but it's a painful drop, and I want you to feel the stakes right now. This loss doesn't just hurt the morale, it dramatically narrows the path forward. Early in the second half, there was a tipping point, literally, a tipped interception that turned Dallas's momentum into Detroit's. 5 seconds into the half, the game flipped from a manageable fight to a series of uphill battles. And while Dak and the offense did rally later, that big swing was the kind of play that changes not only a match, but a season narrative. You could see it in the box score. The Cowboys only found the red zone a couple times early. And when you're facing a team as efficient and creative as Detroit, you can't keep gifting them prime starting position. Special teams coverage let them start near midfield more than once. Turnovers and penalties repeatedly put Dallas behind the 8 ball. And yet, to give credit where it's due, Dak Prescott and some of the offensive adjustments gave us a late push. There were sequences where Dallas looked determined, drives that pulled us within 3 points and moments when the crowd and the energy felt like it could carry the team back. But the Lions answered, each time with the kind of explosive plays that punish mistakes, and the Cowboys couldn't string together enough clean execution to close the gap. Bottom line, this wasn't the kind of loss you can just shrug off. It exposed flaws across phases. Offense stalling early, special teams giving up field position, penalties at ugly times, and a defense that had to handle an impossible field position problem more often than it should. I want to hear from you right away. In the comments, vote. What cost this game most? A. Offense, B. Special teams, C. Defense, or D. Officiating? Also, quick yes, no. Do you still believe the Cowboys can make the playoffs? Yes or no? If you value daily Cowboys breakdowns like this, hit subscribe and help us push to 17,000 subscribers. Every sub matters, and it helps the channel get more deep dives and more post-game coverage like this. If you're ready, we'll dive into the offense next. Why the Cowboys stalled early, how Dak's late push shaped the game, and what it means for the rest of the season. The offense was the first domino to fall tonight, and you could see it from the jump. Drives that started promising and then stalled, punts and long field goal tries instead of touchdowns, and a rhythm that never really clicked in the first half. When your kicker is doing historic work, 3 long field goals and consistently booming them from distance, it's flattering to him but damning for the offense. Those long FGs told the story. The Cowboys were moving into scoring range, but they repeatedly failed to finish. You only managed a couple of meaningful red zone visits early, and against a team as explosive as Detroit, you cannot afford to leave points on the board and then give them short fields in return. Turnovers and penalties compounded the problem. The interception off the tipped slant and other untimely mistakes routinely flipped field position and momentum. That forced the defense into rescue mode, and you could feel them get exhausted trying to buy the offense more time. Credit where it's due, Dak Prescott earned his share of praise for the late-game push. He rallied the offense and put together sequences that got you back within striking distance, showing the leadership and clutch plays you want from your veteran quarterback. But a late rally cannot erase a first half that left the team playing from behind. CeeDee Lamb looked electric before his injury, And when one of your top playmakers is limited or leaves the field, it throws timing off across the board. That's part of why having multiple high-level receivers matters. When one cools off or gets dinged up, someone else has to pick up the slack. Sometimes that happened, sometimes it didn't, and too often the Cowboys settled for 3 instead of 7. Play calling and situational decisions also deserve scrutiny. There were sequences where the offense looked overly conservative, and others where the protection schematics didn't buy Dak enough time. Offensive penalties at critical moments extended Detroit drives or killed Dallas momentum, and those simple mistakes added up. I want you to think about one thing as we break this down. Who would you pin the offensive blame on? Dak and the QB play, the line and protection, the play calling, or the receiver's execution? Drop your vote in the comments. Be specific. Quick yes, no for you now. Did Dak do enough tonight to keep this team's season alive? Yes or no? If you appreciate this breakdown and want more film-level dives after every game, hit like and subscribe. We're pushing to 17,000 subscribers, and every new sub lets me make more detailed content like this for you. When you're ready, reply with C and I'll move into the receiver review, and George Pickens' outing next. Alright, let's talk about the receivers, because this game told two very different stories at the same position group. On one side, you had moments of high-level route running, physicality at the catch point, and clutch plays. On the other, drops, miscommunications, and stretches where nobody could create consistent separation when it mattered most. That inconsistency defined the night. First, the obvious. When CeeDee Lamb was on the field, he was the engine. Before the injury slowed him down, he was separating at all 3 levels, winning on crossers, and giving Dak first down windows the offense desperately needed. But once he was limited, you could immediately feel the offense lose its rhythm. Timing changed. Spacing shrank. Detroit started squatting on underneath routes because they were no longer scared of the deep threat on the opposite side. That's why having a true WR2 step-up is so critical on a night like this. And it didn't happen until late. Now, George Pickens. This is the part Cowboys fans will debate for days, because Pickens showed you exactly why the front office wanted him, and exactly why he still frustrates coaches. His talent flashes are insane. The back shoulder timing, the sideline acrobatics, the ability to turn a 50-50 ball into a 70-30 ball. He gave Dak multiple bailout moments tonight where pure physical dominance created windows that weren't actually open. That's the good. The bad? There were also drives where he drifted on routes, didn't finish his stem, or wasn't where Dak expected him to be. That matters in big games. One misstep becomes a turnover. One loose route becomes a wasted 3rd down. Pickens is a mismatch nightmare, but he has to marry the talent with consistency. And the Cowboys need him too, especially with Lamb banged up. Meanwhile, the depth guys had chances to tilt the game. Some made solid grabs, others disappeared in key moments. You can't have disappearing acts when your WR1 is limited. Detroit challenged them with tight man coverage, forced them to win off the line, and too often the Cowboys receivers needed longer developing routes to shake free. Routes the offensive line didn't always have time to protect. Here's a question just for you watching this right now. Do the Cowboys have enough at wide receiver to win a playoff game if CeeDee Lamb isn't fully healthy? I'm curious how fans really feel about that. Comment yes or no, and tell me who you trust most behind Lamb. And if you're enjoying the breakdowns, remember, hit that subscribe button so we can reach our goal of 17,000 Cowboys fans here on the channel. Your support helps keep these deep dives coming all season long. When you're ready for Chapter 4, O-line, protection issues, and the run game collapse, just reply with C. Let's get into the part of the game that probably frustrated you the most, because it definitely frustrated every Cowboys fan watching. the offensive line, and the complete lack of a functional run game. If you're being honest with yourself, this wasn't about one missed block or one blown assignment. This was structural. Detroit challenged Dallas up front, physically and schematically, and the Cowboys never had an answer. You saw it right away. The Lions were firing off the ball, winning leverage, and showing zero respect for the Cowboys' ability to run between the tackles. They crowded the line, loaded the box on early downs, and dared Dallas to prove they could move anybody. And the Cowboys couldn't. The interior of the line struggled to generate push. Combos weren't clean, second-level climbs were late, and too many runs died at or behind the line of scrimmage. You can't play winning football when every first down run feels like 2nd and 9 waiting to happen. Protection wasn't much better. There were plays where Dak had time, but there were also too many snaps where pressure arrived before the route concepts could even develop. And worse, some of that pressure came from players Detroit didn't even send. Free rushers appeared simply because of miscommunication or poor identification pre-snap. When you can't block the front four and you also can't pass off stunts, you're making life easy for a defense that thrives on physicality. It's also clear that injuries and shifting pieces on the line have taken a toll. Continuity matters. Chemistry matters. You saw moments where linemen weren't on the same page, where they didn't trust the man next to them, where one player passed off a defender expecting help and never got it. Those are the cracks that show up on tape long before they show up in the stat sheet. But the real disappointment? Dallas never found a counterpunch. No screen game to punish aggression. No tempo change to stress substitutions. No commitment to outside runs to force Detroit to widen their fronts. If anything, the Cowboys kept trying to run into the teeth of the defense, hoping something would magically break open. Hope isn't a strategy, and Detroit treated it that way. This all leads to a bigger question, and I want your take here. Do you still believe this offensive line can be trusted in a playoff environment? Drop a quick, confident, or worried in the comments so we can see where Cowboys fans stand on this group right now. And remember, if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. We're pushing toward our goal of 17,000 subscribers, and every new fan helps keep the channel growing so we can bring you more honest Cowboys coverage like this. Now let's bring it all together by talking about the part of the game where winning teams separate themselves. The red zone, situational football, and doing the little things that decide games like this. Because here's the truth. The Cowboys had chances to take control, and the lack of execution in these moments is what kept Detroit alive deep into the night. You saw it early. Drives that should have ended with touchdowns stalled inside the 20. The play calling tightened up, the spacing collapsed, and instead of dictating the matchups, Dallas let Detroit dictate the terms. When you're in the red zone, especially against a physical defense, you can't get cute. You can't run sideways. You can't force timing routes into condensed coverage. You need identity. Either you're going to line up and run the ball down someone's throat, or you're going to isolate your best weapon and force the defense to stop him. The Cowboys didn't commit to either. Too many red zone snaps felt like plays designed not to lose yards rather than plays designed to score. That's the difference between 3 points and 7. That's the difference between breathing room and a one-score game that suddenly gets uncomfortable. On one sequence, Dallas got exactly the look they wanted. Single high coverage, leverage favoring a shot, and still couldn't take advantage because protection broke down before the progression could unfold. These moments stacked, and they stacked in the wrong direction for Dallas. Situational football wasn't much better. Clock management came and went in waves. There were stretches where the offense looked composed, using tempo to control the defense, and then other moments where substitute decisions or hesitation at the line burned precious seconds. On fourth downs, the philosophy seemed reactive instead of proactive. going for it when behind rather than using it as a tool to stay ahead. Meanwhile, defensively, Dallas forced field goals at times, but when the chance came to shut the door completely, one missed tackle or one late reaction opened it again. A lot of Cowboys fans will walk away from this game feeling like Dallas almost played winning football, almost made the key block, almost got the right call, almost avoided the turnover. But almost doesn't count in the games that shape a season. Good teams execute a plan. Great teams finish a plan. Dallas is somewhere between those two right now, and nights like this show exactly what still needs tightening. So here's the final question for you, and I want your honest take. Do you believe this team can clean up the situational mistakes before the next big game? Drop a simple yes or no in the comments. I want to see how confident you really are in this group tightening the screws. And as always, if you've made it this far, you are the reason this channel keeps growing. Hit that subscribe button and help us push to 17,000 subscribers so we can keep breaking down every big Cowboys storyline with you.